You're on the wrong stool. You need to sit on the low stool.
It's like an inch difference.
Every inch. So what a weekend. We had a big one for fluoro-free racing. This is kind of, when I look back at it and realize this is the first major weekend of fluoro-free mandated race competition on our calendar. So this was kind of a big one with Craftsberry Marathon Festival, the 50K, 33K Classic on Saturday, and then the long skate, 33K skate on Sunday. We helped a bunch of people, and we started on Friday with a speed trap test of the iron-on paraffins, a bunch of them. So that would include the Star Next products, the Cold and the Med were what we were looking at this weekend, right?
Yep.
This Vouty Fluoro Free, I'm sorry, not Vouty, the Red Creek Fluoro Free that we got last week.
The other Vouty blocks were in here too.
Yep.
The LDR, the Mid was in there. The Cold was in there.
Oh, and then the prototype race level ones, the higher level of additive. Vouty has these proprietary additives, and we ran those along with the R30.
Yeah.
And what we didn't run is the old school NF6.
Right.
We did that as a base for everything, and we just zeroed out the skis with that. The reason we didn't do that is because it has always been a little slower than the
Mid. Yeah.
the next. So that test was kind of mind-blowing. I'm looking at the results right now, and we're regrinding the test fleet because anytime one product wins by nearly 2% with 99% significance in the t-test that we run, I'm skeptical, but this next Cold absolutely slaughtered that test.
Right. So maybe we'll explain a little bit about Speed Trap.
Sure.
How that works.
Yeah.
We tested 10 different products on matched pair of skis. We ran each one 4 times, so we did 40 runs. You have the little ankle bracelet that does the counting between each stake on a downhill. You start from a stop.
Optical timer.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it's a time between each stake, and it was a little over 10 seconds for each run, but every 1/10 of a second counts, and you put that into a data entry system, and
so we set up the run out to pick up speed pretty quickly, but then to run out across the flat a little bit, and that was based on the course profile for the marathon, some of the descents returning on Ruthie's, where if you can hold a tuck a little longer, it's a big advantage over getting up and double poling right away. And so we were focusing on medium speed in the speed trap, not top speed.
Right.
But we saw in the history of speed traps, this is one of the more decisive wins. And I believe that the product's really good. I'm a little skeptical about the numeric results, and so we're regrinding. I think that ski might have had an advantage somehow. I don't know why. It's been a really reliable test fleet. We've never had anything skewy about the results from that test fleet. We didn't go back and re-zero and run a zero test because that takes a lot of time, and we had to make race skis.
Right.
So we went with the data. It turned out great. Everyone was super happy. We had the Next Cold powder on skis both days, and we recommended it to others as well, and they were all very happy. We were able to speed up the Next Cold powder with some other products on race days. Oh, we should also recognize some other results. Something about these Next additives was good because the medium ran second, even though it was nearly 2% behind. That was ahead of the R30 and the Red Creek. Both of those were very indistinguishably close together. I want to talk about these because we can make a little space. We didn't run them this weekend.
No.
Mostly because we got caught in a time trap. Over and over again, we got backed into not having enough time to make decisions, make the race skis, and be super confident in the application.
Right.
So we're really needing a little more drying time, and we've already talked about this week or next week or sometime setting up some controlled testing with different application methods.
Right.
Trying these with a heat gun, trying rotocork or whatever. We can use our imaginations and come up with some ways to try to speed up the application of this.
Right.
Super confident if it's on overnight, but we're looking for that last advantage, and you can't test the day before for the final advantage on race day.
Yeah.
So I'm going to put these over here. Good products. We didn't test them this weekend.
Right.
For the reasons explained. So on Saturday for the marathon, I don't remember your testing. I just remember that we ran
the Mid.
The mid.
Yeah, because we ran field testing, and I kind of ran those focused on classic, obviously.
Yeah. So
Ran-
when you're field testing
Yeah.
on skate skis and you're focused on classic performance, what are you looking for?
So I'm not really looking for, like, a lot of times if I'm doing field testing, I'll kind of look for what the wax is doing under load. You know, if I'm pushing on the ski, is the ski getting up and running, or is it kind of dying out on the edge of the push there? If I'm going on classic testing, I tend to try and point the skis a little bit straighter and have a little bit more of a neutral stance on the ski and just see how it runs in a straight line. And sometimes, you can do a little bit of a sort of a double pull, single kick kind of move into the tracks. I found that was really helpful. So yeah, the mid won that test, and we think, it sped up our skis.
Yeah.
It was good.
Yeah. And yet between the mid and cold next powders, the cold was still better.
It was, yeah.
And this is interesting because this cold ran well all weekend in temperatures that approached the freezing point. I mean, it wasn't a cold weekend.
Right.
There was refrigerated snowpack both days, and the snow was acting cold, but the air temperature was quite warm. My feeling is that this has a good range above the published range for snow temp, but I also am increasingly convinced that the mid liquid has a good cold range and can deliver some top end.
And it runs really well in kind of that fresher snow. We were feeling that a little bit on Sunday.
Yep.
Anywhere where it hadn't really been skied in, or there was some fresher corduroy, it really did well there.
Right. So we had a good day on Saturday. People were happy with their skis. The one note that we had from several people was that the skis seemed to slow down a lot.
Yeah.
50-kilometer race. We expect them to slow down a bit, but it's troubling. So both Chris and Ida, who won massively, said their skis slowed down in the third lap. And that's not a surprise. I mean, 50K, fluoros, no fluoros, whatever, you're not going to run out as far as you did on the first lap. So if they're feeling that on their own, they both volunteered that it was because there's no fluoros. And I just said, I'm so glad I retired before the fluoro hit, However, we also had some data points where skiers who were racing head-to-head felt like their skis slowed down compared to other skiers in the race.
Yeah.
And that's troubling. So we wanted to do a little bit of review on process and make sure that the wax wasn't dying. And what I noted when I was cleaning the race skis was that the cleaner was filming up really quickly on the skis, which is what happens if there's wax left on the skis.
Yeah.
And I noticed that also on skis that we had prepped in the shop that never even saw the snow. So we prepared all of those skis before we even left, and we put down this next cold powder as a base, expecting to do more testing. And then the next cold powder killed the speed trap test, and we were like, bingo!
There we go.
We don't have to re-wax, so we didn't re-wax.
Yeah.
We just put the skis out, but we also didn't revisit and rebrush.
Yeah.
So in the shop process, we're doing sort of a pretty rapid work through, get the layers down, prep for the weekend. It's not like we were making finished skis.
Right.
And I don't think we did sufficient brushing to thin the film down and get the surface running clean. And I think that was a mistake. And I think that's something that everyone's going to need to pay attention to in racing, particularly in fluoro-free. With fluoros, if it builds up a little bit, I don't think because of the hydrophobic nature of the additive, I don't think the penalty is as big.
Right. So you have to pay a little bit more attention to the cleanliness of your base.
Yeah, process and procedure. Just the basics. You know, do a good job scraping and brushing is critical. And I'm pretty confident that our kick wax didn't slow down because the people that we didn't glide wax felt like the skis were consistent and they all kept kick and the speed felt good. And it was only the people that we put the glide wax on in the shop back home and then didn't revisit.
Yeah.
And so I think, race morning was super hectic. I had fully planned to recheck everyone. But once we got that speed trap test, I was like, bam,
Yeah, we were off and running.
Yeah, exactly. So we just jammed through the kick wax, and it turned out we were kick waxing for a ton of people. So live and learn. But it's a note worth making. I think it's important. And I don't blame the wax for slowing down. I blame our process.
Yeah.
So there's that. We kept you testing pretty much all day Saturday. Race was long done, and you were still testing.
Yeah.
Because we wanted to also chase these OLA products, and more of them than just this. I felt bad that we didn't have time before the race because we were so focused on kick to really run that down. And so we didn't get those on snow pre-race on Saturday, large part because we just had a ton of skis to put 2 layers of clister onto plus a pad. It was a hectic morning for an early start.
Yeah.
And because we had already, we already had the wax on that had won the speed trap by so much. So I was just confident. It's like, it's good and it's plenty good enough. And looking for an advantage on the glide at the expense of the kick on a 50K marathon day is a bad idea.
Yeah.
So we didn't. But as soon as the race was off, we had you start running some more testing.
Right.
You're going to have to remind me what you found.
Yeah, so we worked through, I don't know, 4 or 5 of the ULA products, and we so I think we started off with, it was orange and orange black, and the black had to do, I didn't run the straight black, I don't think. Did we?
Yeah, you did.
Oh, okay.
No, because I didn't find it.
Right, so we ran that, ran that on Sunday, but we ended up, because we went through, and I think we went through the orange black, and then we went through red, and then eventually ended up running the red black, and the red black won.
Yeah.
It had really good feel. We ran a durability test with the ULA red black against, was it straight?
Yeah, it was the cold. And the reason it was the cold is because that was the one that we were suspicious of from the marathon. We already had the feedback from the marathon, and I wanted you to do the 16 point whatever K loop on this versus the ULA.
Yeah. For
2 reasons. One is that I trust that ULA wax not to get clogged, not to the wax itself. I have high belief that it's not going to slow down. The application, maybe, I haven't seen evidence that it wears out, but of course when we're just buffing it on, we have to be concerned. This was an ironed application, and I was concerned based on race feedback that it might have slowed down a little. So you did that whole test, and it was interesting because it didn't sound like anything slowed down, but it was really back and forth. It was
super back and forth. They had gone out and groomed it, so they had gone out and wiped tracks, especially on the kind of part of the loop that's across the road.
That sugar house,
So the snow was a little bit different in there. It was softer. It was
more natural.
Yeah, lots of natural snow. There was a little bit of dirt in the snow. Like, it wasn't super clean.
Yeah.
And the ULA felt really good back there.
Yeah.
Like, it broke free. The ski didn't kind of drag along in the snow. But then I got back out on kind of the hard pack, climbing up Ruthie's there. Because I didn't do quite the exact marathon loop, but I did kind of an equivalent distance in a lot of the same terrain. And climbing up Ruthie's was the next, just like, was awesome going up that.
Okay.
It ran super well going up that.
Okay.
And on the race course too, like the regular competition loops, the next was much better.
So based on our testing, and just based on, like, not being present for the morning of the next day, we prepped a bunch of race skis for Sunday's skate race, including Chris's and Ida's, and a handful of people. And we used the cold powder again, and then we used the warm liquid again, just the way we had been. I got really good reports. People were super excited.
Nice.
Like, Chris said that he had great skis, and he skied with Adam Martin and Akio Mayfield Carucci for the whole race, and tried to make a move on him at the end and couldn't shake Adam. So he got beat by an unretired racer.
Yeah, right.
He I hope he got beat by. Yeah, no, but he said skis were great.
Good.
Plenty of good feedback from other people we did skis for. So that seemed good, and that was a long day on the tracks, and I did a really good job brushing. Yeah. No one complained about skis slowing down.
Good.
And that was 33K. So that was good. Meanwhile, we went down to Reichert for the Vermont qualifier, and you were in charge of glide all day long.
All day. Yep.
All day. 2 races, both for men and women, girls and boys, boys and girls and then boys. 3 kilometer classic, 3 kilometer skate. I think we made good skis.
Yeah.
Kids had good results. It was a fun day. Run us through the morning testing.
Yeah, so the morning testing, I was just kind of doing a lot of field testing, kind of in the field there where they start everybody, kind of where the lap comes through when they have bigger distance races. And the snow really had not changed over yet.
We were on dry wax with AT base.
Yeah.
I mean, it was hard wax skiing.
Yeah, and it was pretty hard packed. They obviously worked it pretty hard and it set up well. And the Ula Black came out on top.
Okay. That's right, because we put it on the race skis.
Right, the girls raced on that.
Yep.
And then as kind of traffic picked up and people went over the loop, it started to kind of soften up and do that, what I think of as like a classic Riker kind of man-made snow thing.
Yeah, sugary.
And a little bit yellow looking in certain places, and it's like, oh, okay, so
plenty of moisture.
Yeah.
Not dry.
Yeah, so at that point you're kind of getting out of the Ula Black range, or at least what we've kind of come to figure out. And then the Vouti Pure, the LDR came through along with the mid.
Yep.
And I think Gunnar raced on the LDR for the classic race.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah.
You're right. Yeah, because you made that call just like during and toward the end of the girls race.
Yeah, because we were chasing it like all day.
Yep.
And I don't know. He said it was good.
Yep.
Yeah.
Then, they all had good skis. They all had really good skis.
Yeah.
And I think you were again focusing in the track and everything.
Yeah.
Then we actually put more product out, I think, and that's when you got onto the red black.
Yeah.
That's the black. The red black.
Yeah. The red black.
Again, that came in after the black.
Right.
And it was
a little bit more moisture, a little bit more loosening in the snowpack. Yeah.
Right. Yep. But the LDR hung in there.
Yeah, the LDR.
Those were the three.
Yeah.
Was the red black.
Yeah.
The mid and the LDR.
Yeah.
LDR was running a little better than the mid. And
Yeah.
so we made a pretty late call because you were continuing to chase it. And I put this on the girls not a real long time before the start.
Right.
And we were really milking the drying time on it. They all had good skis and good races. But I wasn't super happy with the way the skis felt on the bench.
Right.
I mean, like one pair we sent to the start unbrushed with Mark and a brush to brush them
Not
off.
ideal. Yeah.
That's cutting a little close, and we don't really, again, this stuff doesn't dry really fast, and I'm not super comfortable with drying time. But for Gunnar skis, I'm going to tell you what I did. He had a layer of this from the night before.
Yeah.
No, not that was the classic that we then recovered. No, so I put on the red black.
Oh, you did.
For Gunnar,
I see.
and then I put on the LDR
Yeah.
an hour before the start, and I brushed it like
Crazy. Yeah.
3 really healthy scrubbings with the polishing brush.
Cool.
With several minutes in between, and he picked up 20 places on his morning result. He did a really good race.
Yeah.
That might have been him.
Yeah.
It's possible he just skied fast.
It is.
Yeah, but that was good.
But it's good to send him out with skis that can.
Well, so it's hard to know exactly what was making the best difference there, but there's certainly things were playing well. And it seemed good.
I mean, I could continue to ski the race loop while the race was going on. They had an open course, and I was just out there, cheering for the Payne family and Putney kids, and I was on one ski with the LDR and one ski with the mid.
Yeah.
And the LDR, with the mid there.
That mid.
Yeah, that one. When I got up to speed on some of those downhills coming off of Spring Hill especially, I could feel the LDR kind of just continuing to accelerate. And maybe it didn't feel the most free uphill. The mid felt pretty free uphill, especially in kind of some of the less traveled areas. But I was
uphill
impressed.
is where I saw Gunnar really moving well. He's only 85 pounds. The downhill speed wasn't blinding. He's never going to have an advantage. But I'm wondering how much that might have contributed underneath to that climbing field.
Yeah.
Lots to find out. Anyway, it was an interesting weekend. We put a lot of product on the snow. We found some real meaningful differences. Felt like our skis were faster. There were plenty of teams out there just on CH7.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
And they were just leaning on structure or whatever to
just send the skis out the
Yeah.
door and going racing. I mean, it's basic race. Some of the strongest kids and the fastest kids weren't on complex wax.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean we're not going to make it complicated.
Yeah.
No, I think there were some advantages to be had. It was
Yeah.
interesting. It was a good weekend of testing. So.
Yeah.
Overall takeaways. Okay, Bounty won a test. That's good. All the stuff is right in the mix, and this is almost sort of the first time we've really started mixing it into the testing.
Right.
I don't think it would have shown up super well on the speed trap test, just static downhill
Right.
glide. So it's more interesting to work with it on course and in motion, and I think it contributed a lot to the day. And this next cold base, well, each of these products has been very good so far.
Yeah.
And they're really, really reliable and broad range, so that's a really good starting point. And we had good feedback from other people who used that this weekend. So I'm happy. This stuff is kind of funky to work with, and it wasn't bad.
Yeah. It ran all right.
Yeah, it was good. I feel like there's a lot of products. We'll do it again next time around and find something new and different. But yeah, good process. Thanks
Good
for all
stuff.
your work.
You're welcome.